Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Ktalk, where we obsess over our current favorite K-dramas. I'm your host, Mel.
And I'm Uma. On today's aftershow, we're talking about Dear Hyeri, episodes 3 to 6.
So, are we less or more confused now that we're 6 episodes in?
That is such a good question. Both. Sometimes I feel like I have things figured out. And sometimes I'm like, I'm still very confused.
Same. Because, okay, let's just go into it. Episode 3 kicks off where episode 2 left off, where Eun-ho was locked in the freezer.
Yes.
And then they called Yun-ho to come.
Yes.
Yeah. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, he must really love her. I don't know if you felt the same.
I did. I did feel the same because when he came to get her, he had mismatched shoes on. Like, this man ran out the house without even thinking twice. Like, he was freaking out. But before we talk more about that, why did I think first the producer ladies, the girls and the rest of her cast and crew locked her in there as a prank? I'm not getting good vibes from them. They're just hating on her for no reason sometimes.
No, I can tell there's definitely something there. They don't like her, but I never thought that they locked her in there.
Oh, okay. Just me. Maybe I misread the thing, but I'm like, they're kind of mean to her.
Yeah, I see that they don't like her, but like, you know. And I think it's because she kind of stays to herself and she just does her own thing.
Oh, yeah. There's so much more to get into that. But back to him coming to her rescue.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I can't get a read. Does he love her? Is he annoyed with her?
Yeah.
To race out in the middle of the night like that.
Yeah.
We're still leaning towards he loves her. So you agree?
Yes. In that moment. Yes. I'm thinking, oh my God, he loves her. Yeah. But little do we know where it literally leads to. But still, staying on episode 3, then we see that scene where there's a flashback of Ju-yeon's mom blaming him for his brother's death. That really made me so sad for him because he came to your graduation. Like, how can you blame
And he blames
him for
himself
that?
too.
Yeah.
He blames himself too. But his mom, I think she completely lost her mind when her eldest died.
I think so too.
Because for her to say something so insensitive, like it's all your fault. He shouldn't have come here. I mean, when else do you, that's the only time like family's supposed to actually show up for you. It's
that was a serious, and that's literally
it's a milestone in your life. Like, it's a happy moment.
And he literally seems like he only had his brother and his mom.
They were a very small family, so that's why I was like, the mom lost her mind.
And I
completely.
think he just wanted someone to blame, and
she did.
Was him.
But you don't blame your other kid though. I mean, she must have been maybe not all there to begin with, maybe her whole life. I don't know, but it just felt like she fell off the deep end a little too hard.
For sure.
No. What else stood out to you in episode 3?
This is the part where I got confused. When she said, I fell asleep as Hyeri and she woke up as Eun-ho.
Yeah. Somehow they keep showing us the clock by her nightstand. So I think when she goes to sleep and she wakes up at like 4 a.m. or super early in the morning, she kind of just wakes up with the other personality. Like, one thing that I feel like we know now is it doesn't happen. Like, she can't switch personalities in the middle of the day. I think she has to wake up either one person or the other.
Okay.
So I gathered the same thing.
Yeah. And then Hyeri said, what do you mean I woke up in my bed? It was like after the night of her staying over at Ju-yeon's house.
She doesn't understand. Remember, like, no, that was
but then
Uno saying, I don't remember, I just woke up.
Yeah, because remember, she slept as Hyeri in that moment and then woke up. Remember, she woke up freaking out because she
looked around and she's like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when she does wake up, Uno doesn't have memories of what Hyeri does.
Yeah.
That's why Hyeri starts writing in that notebook.
Yeah.
I'm your other identity, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
The thing that stood out for me that I have a lot of questions, but now it's been answered, but I still wanted to point it out, was in the beginning, I'm like, who the fuck are these grandmas? Remember, it opened up before he went to go rescue her when she was in the freezer truck.
Yeah.
Remember when the producer girl called him
and
said, oh my God, she's stuck in a truck with a dead body.
Yeah, he was at a ritual, ceremony ritual.
He was there like grandma. At a memorial thing or doing something. I mean, there was a lot of grandmas. And again, we'll find this out even more, but just watching episode 3, one of the grandmas has like a spitting problem. And I was like, that is so unnecessary. It literally was so gross. I'm like,
it was so gross. Like, we're eating, you know?
Gross. And the funny thing is, I think later on in episode like 5 or 6, we find out like the kid, the more we find out about their lives, that literally has to be like, that's dirty. We're eating. Stop it.
Yeah.
But it's her thing, apparently. Gross. But yeah, I at first I was like, who are these grandmas? And by episode 6, we figure out everything and who they are.
Yeah. I honestly thought, going back to, at first I thought that maybe they could be twins. Like when she kept saying her little sister, I don't know why, but I thought that, okay, are they twins? Because remember the photo that she has of them young, how the balloon is covering the face? So I'm like, are they twins? Are they like, I was really confused about that. I'm like, why is her face hidden? But then they show other flashbacks where they show her
grown up. Yeah, before we find out she went missing and what happened to her, and the fact that they're not twins, and that Uno is the older sister and this one's a couple of years younger than her.
So I'm thinking, I don't know if you agree or not, that when her sister went missing, I feel like that's what triggered all of this. Because if you think about it, she was the one who's pushing her to go on that trip.
She does carry that guilt the same way that Juyeon was like, oh my God, my brother died because of me. Yeah. I think she feels like her sister went missing because of her, because she pushed her to go on that trip. He pushed his brother to come to his graduation ceremony. Yeah. So they were both dealing with a lot of guilt when it comes to everything that happened to their siblings. Yeah. But you know what was weird? If her ex is over her, and I think they've been broken up for like 7 or 8 years now.
No, 4 years.
Just 4 years?
They were together for 8 years.
Okay, great. So 4 years they were broken up. But remember how Jiyeon was like, I want to go on a date with you. When she went on that weekend trip.
That wasn't Jiyeon. That was a completely different guy.
No. That's the guy that works at her job. His name is Jiyeon. Not
Juyeon. Not June. Okay, yes. Jiyeon. Yes.
Jiyeon. Yeah. The tall one. Yeah. That her ex was eavesdropping. And he was like, and he made her go on that work assignment. Yeah. Now we find out that Jiyeon and that other girl that works at the news station, they're brothers and sisters.
Which one?
Jiyeon, the guy that...
Yes, I know him, but what girl? The Yeon girl?
Yes.
Yeon, the one that...
Mm-hmm, with the long hair and the bangs.
That has a crush on Juyeon.
We think she has a crush. You see, in the beginning we thought, but then in episode 6, you find out that they're kind of like non-blood siblings. They used to be next door neighbors. Their dads were like gambling addicts. They were kind of raised together. So when the little gambling gangster loan shark granny takes in, he's like, let me take those two with me. Yes, so they end up growing up together. Yeah. Because at first, before we found that out, in like, say, episode 3 and 4, I'm like, oh, does she have a crush on him? Are they even secretly dating? Because she's the one that called him and said, she's stuck in the truck. The boss is like, the producer is drunk. We have to save...
but that's the only time we see her as his little sister.
Yeah, but before we found that out in episodes 5 and 6, and you find out their history, I really thought they were secretly dating because they seemed very too close, very familiar. Yeah. So I'm like, I know he broke up with Uno, and now he's dating this really young girl, like the producer, but it's not. She's literally like a little sister to him. Yeah.
And then in episode 4, what really touched me is when Hyeri was in therapy. And she says to her therapist, if my symptoms improve, will I go away? And what will happen to Juyeon?
I know.
And then she also says, she's like, I don't dream about Uno anymore. I dream about myself.
And I think her like other identity, Hyeri, her Hyeri identity is triggered when she's not actively happy in her life as Uno, because the weekend when she has the panic attack and her ex is taking care of her, which I found very confusing. I never can get a read on that man.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, but So I figured from that, we'll go into it more in detail after, but I figured out like she didn't switch at all. Remember he kept complaining about how many hours she was sleeping? She never once switched to Hyeri after her panic attack, and he was taking care of her for like what seemed like a weekend.
Yes, and
she didn't switch once.
And what I'm also confused about is they were together for 8 years. So this Hyeri identity was not coming out at that time. That's what I'm confused about.
I think the breakup triggered that.
Oh,
she was happy in her relationship with him, right? When the breakup happened, I think she wanted to live as her sister. She had that notebook, and her sister was like, oh, my sister is going to be an announcer. Like Hyeri says, my sister's going to be an announcer. I would just be happy working in the parking lot. She seemed like she was just a very simple, quiet, introverted girl. So she reads that notebook, and then we actively see she's telling the therapist this like 3 years ago, I think post breakup, because her hair was shorter. Remember the breakup? Her hair was really long. So now her hair is short. She goes actively as Uno, goes to the parking lot and says, I want to work here, specifically because it was a news station that she didn't work at. That's how she's...
And that's what I'm confused about. So she knows what's going on at the same time, because if she went out of her way to be like, I'm going to get this parking job for my sister because
to live her life. Oh, and remember in the first look, episodes 1 and 2, and I was like, is this why she doesn't want to progress in her career? Because she wants to do the morning show as Uno, so that in the afternoons she can essentially go volunteer, because she's not getting paid to do that job at the parking lot.
Yeah. So that scene stood out to me because like it's like she knows when she's being Hyeri.
She started off knowing.
Yeah.
This was an active, intentional thing to feel closer to her sister maybe. Yeah. And then the more she lived as that, and the more unhappy her life as Uno became, the more she literally became more and more Hyeri.
Yes, and you know why I think that's also true? Because once her and Uno started having this little cute little thing, Juyeon, Hyeri became missing to him. He hasn't seen Juyeon in days. Remember?
That's what I said, because when she's happy or spending time with her ex and she's not miserable, I don't think her personality gets triggered. And I think it didn't get triggered because when she had the panic attack, he kissed her in the elevator.
Oh, yeah. Can we talk about that? Okay. Was it just me, or did you feel like it was such an inappropriate time to go in for a makeout session? I didn't even know where that came from. I was just so confused. It's like, this girl literally just had a panic attack. I don't even think she knows where she is right now. And you're going in for
She is at such a vulnerable state.
Yeah.
Mentally, like she's gathering herself, trying to compose herself, which I think she did a great job, because she had that horrible panic attack, gathered herself enough to finish the broadcast. And then when she's trying to leave the building and doesn't even know if she wants to stay or not, and she's breaking down, he kisses her. Like, who wants to kiss someone when they're literally in such a... was it a comforting thing for him? I'm like...
I don't know.
Did the love that he had for her come pouring out when she's saw having that a panic attack in need, and she's, in a sensitive place? But still inappropriate.
Very inappropriate.
I agree.
Like, she literally just had a panic attack.
I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
A hug would have been nice.
Literally.
A little pat on the back.
But a makeout session? Like, I was like, where is this coming from? It was just so weird. And I thought it was just...
And that's another thing. You can do that. You can kiss someone to comfort them if you're in an active relationship.
Yeah.
But you've been broken up for how many years now? And
he's been horrible to her.
And she has the worst day at work. And that's what you want to do. And
this is when you...
I can't stand him sometimes,
which brings me back at all
to that speech.
Yeah.
I find you embarrassing speech. But the way she stood up for herself, I was like, bravo. Like, good job. Because she was like, I embarrass you. Like, why are you so caught up in my life?
And those are the moments when it's like he despises her. Because he can be so rude and disrespectful to her. And then certain times he can be so tender and caring. And
leaving the house with 2 different shoes on, being so scared for her. Like, we clearly see that you care very deeply about this person. But then you can't be that harsh,
But that's the thing, though. Does he really?
It's weird.
Because even if you're broken up from someone, like, you don't have to be that hurtful. The things he says is just...
He's just...
And then after the panic attack, he literally just invites himself to move in.
Refuses to leave.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way he communicates, where she has to pull information out of her. Like, he clearly knows that she blacked out because she doesn't remember what basically happened after the kiss. She doesn't know how the kiss ended, how she got out of the elevator, how the hell did she get home. She emotionally blacked out. When you go through something that crazy, you don't remember everything. So he was like, at what point did you black out? And she was like, I don't really remember anything after the kiss. And then he takes her out to eat. And she's sitting there like, well, tell me more. Like, why are you in my house? It's so hard to pull information out of him.
Very, very short with her. He's like, no. And he's like, yeah, what else?
He's barely answering questions, not enough to comfort her, enough to leave her questioning the situation even more. It's like he doesn't answer the question fully.
He's just unnecessary mean.
He's emotionally manipulative.
He is, and a low-key abusive, because then when she was like, oh, let's go out to eat, and then she was like, oh, I want something tasty, and he's like, oh, it's not good for you to eat this late. You've been looking puffy lately.
I know. Like you've been eating late nights. I'm like, yes, she has, as Hyeri.
Unprovoked.
Little do you know. She's been eating good.
No, but just unprovoked. Just with the meanness.
He told her she had to lose weight.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're an ass.
Then he's questioning why she's sleeping so long in her own home. It's like... Let her live. Let her do.
How passive aggressive was vacuuming while someone's sleeping?
Yeah, in her home.
Who?
When he could easily leave.
Who asked you?
Yeah, and then telling her how her house is filthy. Who doesn't have
what does she even do in there?
Like, it's like he said her house is cluttered, but
how do you even clean yourself? Like, what did he say? Something like, how do you even wash your face there? Is that all you do?
Yeah.
It's like, you're here to comfort me, but at the same time,
you're getting at everything in my life, my house, you know. I don't like him. And I don't like him either. And then we see a backstory, and that literally changed nothing for me. That changed absolutely nothing for me. At first, I was like, oh, okay. But still, you don't have to be an asshole. You know what I mean? You literally don't.
You had a traumatic past. Whoop-dee.
Yeah.
That doesn't give you license to be an asshole.
The way he broke up with her.
She said evil smile. Even though he was crying, I felt no sympathy. He looked like the Joker. His eyes were crying, but he was smiling.
Yeah. It was kind of sick because she said, oh, why would you waste 8 years of my life? I'm like, now I have to start over. And he's like, well, that's great.
It's not going to take that long.
Yeah, he's like, then we should break up right now then, so you could get to it. I was like, what?
First of all, a part of me was like, this man clearly said he was not going to marry you. You shouldn't have been with him for 8 years to begin with.
I said that too.
You should have asked yourself, why don't you want to get married? Because how are you with somebody for 8 years and not want to ask them, what's your issue with marriage?
So and like we've seen from even episode 1, he's very emotionally unavailable.
Closed off.
It's very obvious. I don't know how she even put up with 8 years of that, because I feel like that's been his personality. He gives her these little cute moments, but then majority of the time it is him being very cruel and nasty and just...
And the cute moments are so far apart, right? That she's constantly insecure, asking like reassurance. Do you love me? Aren't I the best girlfriend? Aren't I caring? You can literally see that he's not emoting enough. Like, he's not reassuring her.
Yeah, he literally gives her nothing.
Nothing.
And I just don't understand how. And that's how you know that even when he's being cruel to her, it doesn't even affect her. It's like she got so used to just the way he speaks that she's not even moved. And that's kind of sad.
I don't know. He's a jackass.
But I was so happy she broke up with him and finally realized that he is...
That speech took me out of it. The man rushes out of the house, finds himself, comes back, and then says, just, I would like it if you get sick more often.
Or something along those lines.
He said, get sick. At first I was like, what? And then he was like, get sick more often.
And she said, no, thank you.
And just closed that door. I swear I cheered.
But isn't it crazy that it's been 8 years and she has I don't think she has any idea of these grandmas.
Or his life.
Yeah, at all.
He's been very closed off. But then I think that's why he's always mean to her, making her feel like she's not enough. So she's too busy wanting his approval that she doesn't ask herself, wait a minute, how come I don't know anything about this man? Because how do you not know about the grandmas?
And I think him being rude to her is a defense mechanism, right? He's trying to keep her at arm's length.
And always on edge.
Yeah.
So that she's always asking to be reassured that he loves her before she can even ask, wait a minute, do I love him? Do I know everything about him?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's not a healthy relationship. And I'm so happy she woke up in that moment and just said no.
Yeah.
The man literally said, I like taking care of you. I want more opportunities like this.
Yeah.
Have more panic attacks. Once in a while, just, sprinkle it in there.
Yeah.
Who says that?
And that's the only time that you can show your affection towards her? Like, it's just crazy to me that, like, she literally knows nothing about him, his life, or any of that. And I'm so glad she finally closed that chapter. And I can't wait. And I was just so sad when Joo-yeon seen them being all cute. And he was probably thinking, he's like, oh my God, that's why she's gone missing. Like, she's been over here playing house with this guy.
Yeah, she has an ex-man.
Yeah.
And the fact that he spent like $300 on a cab ride to come back from whatever little city that he was in for the weekend, that was devastating.
So I can't wait for them to reunite again. And they did. And the way it ended, it was...
she's acting her little ass off.
She is.
Because when she turned around with the box, I was like, that's Anu. Like,
yeah. Yes, all over her face, you can tell.
Her body from her back. I didn't even have to see her face and realize there's no bangs there. From just the way she was standing and turned around, just so
and the way she smiled. So what I want to know is, so does Uno know the experiences that Hyeri had with him?
Well, now that she's with the psychiatrist, remember the weekend after the panic attack, when he was like, I've been killing myself trying to find a doctor for you. And she was like, I already got one. And she went as Uno.
Yeah.
And she found out more about Hyeri because they kept calling her Hyeri. Well, the doctor's like, well, you are Hyeri. And she's like, well, speaking of her, she writes notes to me like, I'm so happy. This is your body. I get it. But like, I don't want to leave.
Yes.
And since essentially I'm happier than you are right now, let me stay. So this is the first time. And then she watches the video of herself as Hyeri.
Yeah.
So that's the first doctor's appointment that we see Anu's going to.
Yeah. So I'm just excited the way it ended. How her and Joo-yeon are going to be together. Because that smile and the way she turned around, it was like now I'm ready for this. Right?
Absolutely. And the way that he knew, because there was a little clip at the end where he met her at a work function.
Yeah.
And he was holding tight onto her hand. He was like, I know this scar or whatever.
Yeah.
But he noticed. Can we talk about the double apartment situation?
I was going to say that. I'm like, is it the same apartment?
It looks like it's a top and a bottom, but same complex. I literally think like just literally above one another. But in the flashback with her sister, she's like, we got to move out. We can't stay with grandma forever. We can't have somebody else take care of us. We got to be independent. We got to take care of ourselves. And she's like, I already got us a place. I live upstairs. You live downstairs. The 8 years that they were together, wasn't he aware that this girl lost her sister, but she has access to both apartments? Or did she never access Hyeri's apartment until she started living most of the time as Hyeri?
I found that when she was saying, like, we don't want to be burned. It's like, this woman loves you. That lady loved them. And the way she just spoke of her, like, oh, we don't want to be a burden. Like, this woman took you guys in, took care of you. I don't know. I feel like that was very unnecessary, like the way she said it. Like,
yeah, but I think it had something to do with the fact that
they
lost their parents.
Yeah.
And they didn't have it didn't look like they had a super close relationship with the grandma. And then they overheard like their aunt and uncle saying, we can't take them in. Like, we can barely survive ourselves. So I think she kind of always knew, because she didn't grow up with grandma, that like, yeah, this person's doing you a favor. And yes, we're a family. But I think she just more of like, it's just me, my sister at the end of the day, and we want to be independent. I think that's where it was coming from more. Not because like she couldn't see like that her grandma loved her or anything.
Yeah, I get it. But I just felt like, why are you being so harsh? Like, she loves you guys, you know? But I get it. They were both adults, and yeah.
Now that we know that Ji-yeon grew up and, you know, is essentially like a big brother to him, He dated Uno. How do you have crush on your brother's ex-girlfriend? That's messy and weird.
Yeah. It is.
Like, that's your older brother. And that's why he was like ear hustling when he was asking her out on the date. Yeah. Instead of blocking the date by giving her an assignment, why couldn't you just take him aside and be like, that's my ex, that's off limits?
Yeah, I don't think
he cares. It's very strange.
Yeah, I don't think
he clearly does care, though.
Yeah.
He tried to block the date. That's weird. So
I'm excited to see where it goes with Juyeon, but I wonder what, I feel like is not going to give up, and that's going to really piss me off. Like, he's not going to let it go.
Yeah, because when he ran back to the hospital and the grandma just broke her leg and everybody was devastated, it kind of gave me the feeling like he was just looking at them and be like, this is what I left Uno for? Like, it seems like he's pretty fed up with his life.
Yeah.
He was relieved, I guess, that she wasn't.
I mean, I don't even know why he made that vow to begin with, that my whole life is going to be just around you five and taking care of you guys.
He was in a sticky situation. But how weird.
And he has other two siblings, right? So it's like,
they're not his real siblings.
I know that, but I'm just saying, like, it doesn't only fall on you, right? Like, they're there too. So I don't understand, like, oh, I'm never going to get married. My whole life is just going to be taking care of you guys. Like, I get it. They did raise him when they didn't have to, but yeah, that was a weird.
And do you honestly think, like, it's so weird. I feel like he's sacrificing a lot, thinking what he's dealing with is so bad. Like, if he would have just told the story to Anu, I think she loved him enough that she would understand, like, these women raised you. Yeah. Your mom left you, ran away. Your dad died while you were young. These women took you
think about
in.
It, his story.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
Yeah, like when he keeps saying, like, who's gonna fit into this? Into what exactly? You were raised by 5 strong women. Her life wasn't exactly normal either. So, speaking of that, did you see how Hyeri was with Juyeon's mom? That was the cutest thing ever.
That was so touching.
But there's also a scene where, I don't know if you laughed, but I laughed when his mom was like, oh, okay, if I eat all my food, will I be as pretty as you? And she said, no, but you'll survive. And I just
you'll be strong.
Cackling. You'll stay alive.
Yeah, you'll be healthy. Oh my God.
But that was so cute and genuine. And I just love Hyeri because she's just so genuine, so cute, and just authentically herself.
Pure heart. Like, I feel like she doesn't deal with the ugliness that, like, Uno has to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, she's very innocent. I think that's what she gravitated towards, being that identity. Was like, she just gets to be happy.
And I love that Juyeon loves her exactly for who she is, exactly how she is, so it's like, I really love their story. And I was kind of sad that it was like, we didn't see much of it in this last couple of episodes. I was like, oh my God, can you go back to Hyeri and Juyeon, please? Because I'm over Haeyoon and Uno.
We needed that because, remember, we're just like, what's her ex's deal? Like, I felt like every question that I had in like 3 or 4, like, everything was answered when it came to her ex, why they broke up, why he was against marriage. Like, that was great now that we have all this backstory, but I still, I'm like, back to
and I still don't feel like he has the right to be the way he is because of how he was raised, to be honest. It literally
I think he's going to get a little bit more. He's going to be a little bit more difficult, especially now that he's fed up with his life. And I think he's finally getting the balls to be like, I hate to say this, but like, these grandmas are not going to be living forever. And I feel like him taking care of them is about to like come to an end one by one. They're going to start like passing away. And I think he just kind of grew up and realized it's not that deep. He could have married. He could have explained the situation to her.
But the funny thing is, like, I don't even think you love Uno as much as, like, I don't see the love there.
Him.
She loved him, but I don't see it from him. I'm sorry, I really don't. And his backstory did absolutely nothing for me. It's like, oh, okay, but that still doesn't excuse why you were the way you were to her. That was so unacceptable to me.
That's true. Well, we're halfway through, so I'm very excited to see where this is going, because now Juyeon started Googling, and he is aware, I think, because he remembers Hyeri saying, I'm kind of like an only child. I don't have a sister, because he heard it from that crazy anchor guy that, oh, her sister works in the parking lot. So he starts Googling her. We see that little clip where he met her at a work function as Anu.
Oh yeah, he did, and her face popped up. It's like, what the hell? So right now, does he think they're twins?
Mm-mm.
So you?
I don't think so, because when he started Googling her, he had a flashback of Hyeri saying like, I'm an only child. So when he heard from that guy, like, that's her sister, he's like, no. And when you look at her picture, like, he knows,
yeah,
it's her.
Yeah.
You know, even if they were like identical twins, like, she would have said something. She wouldn't have said, I'm an only child.
Yeah.
But when she turned around and introduced herself, I think he knows something is up there.
And I think once she even tells, I feel like she will open up to him and tell him everything. And I feel like he's going to be very accepting.
I think she's prepared.
Yeah.
I think she's prepared. But I'm just really, really excited to see what's coming up. Like I said, we're halfway through. Every episode feels like we find out a million different things.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying Dear Hyeri. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
Right. And she's killing this role, playing dual roles like this.
She deserves and just all her flowers.
The sound of her voice, the way she stands up, like her posture, she is.
Yeah, the way she changes her voice is like, I know now who's Hyeri.
Who's who. Yeah. Right? Even without the stuttering, because like Hyeri talks really, really slow and you know, very intentional. But I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. So we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
Well, that's our show for today. Thanks so much for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to follow, rate, and share a review with us. Bye.
Bye.